Jay Crawford, Adam the Bull, Garrett Bush, Dustin Fox, Jason Lloyd, Tyvis Powell, plus, ba-da-da-da-da, you're loving him, Mikey McNuggets. And so many big names, it would take me hours to say all of their names. The ultimate Cleveland sports show starts now. Booyah!
Vegas, and FanDuel specifically, has their win total set for 79.5 wins this year, guys. If you had to bet on one side of the equation, the over, 79.5 wins, or the under. Which side would you take? Bull, start with you.
I would go over. I've got the Guardians finishing right around 500, which would be 81 wins. I think they probably win somewhere between 75 and 85 is the likely range for the Guardians.
Who's your breakout star for the Guardians in 2024?
Bo Naylor.
That's a good one.
Easy money. I need you. We need to get 19, 20 home runs out of you, big dog.
I would take the over on 79.5. That's easy to me. I don't think they're going to have a losing record again. I actually think they're going to be close to 85.
Swung and ripped to right. There's a base hit. Hitting third, coming for home, Ramirez. He will score, and the Guardians are headed to October. And yes, Cleveland, for the 14th time since 1995, you will have an October to remember.
The burn is so good. The champagne burn in the eye is so good.
Apparently, Hoynesy got it really bad from Miles Straw.
Yeah, but he had goggles on.
I never had that before. I never had that.
Really?
What? Champagne?
No, champagne in the eyes.
In the eyes?
Yeah.
They all wear the goggles now. Everybody goes to the goggles
You can't
now.
avoid it. If you're in one of those celebrations, you really can't avoid it.
Yeah.
And it's real too. I mean, it absolutely burns.
The question is, will they do another champagne celebration tomorrow if they clinch the division?
I don't know.
Which is
I have
fine.
mixed
Hey, I
feelings
don't
on
care.
that. I understand why Vogt wanted to do it, because when you break spring training, the whole intention is to make the playoffs.
Yep.
And so when you knock that hurdle down, you want to celebrate. But doesn't it look a little silly if they go out and beat the Cardinals and then do it all over again?
That's their team. They like to party. They like to have fun.
That's baseball. Every team in baseball.
I mean,
does.
I know.
I think it's dumb, but don't get me started on it.
If the players like it, who cares?
I love it.
Yeah.
The players like it. I got no problem
I
with it.
wouldn't have done it. I understand why Vogt wanted to do it. Not included in the predictions there, in the montage to open the show. When I was closing out my spring training hit in February, I talked about how I thought Austin Hedges had completely turned the psyche of the team around. And again, he's one of those guys, analytics guys hate him. They literally look at it and go,
not good at baseball.
Yeah, but this is the difference between where analytics drives the bus and sometimes gut drives the bus. I know you know this. They brought him back. They said it was their biggest move in the offseason.
That's the first thing they did.
Every single person I talked to at spring training, the first thing they said when I said, "Hey, welcome back."
Look at
hey,
his
we're
face.
glad
Can we
Hedges
talk
is
about the
here."
players that matter?
Look at his face. Bull was
Listen,
blinking his eye.
if you don't want to put Austin Hedges into the camp of players that matters, that's your own problem.
Okay, I don't think he matters at all. But whatever. I
It
guess
doesn't matter at all?
I don't think so. No.
Wow, that is
I
stunning
don't know
to me,
how
Bull.
we prove that he does, but
See, that's it. The analytic mind can't look at they can't look at the box score.
I see things both ways. There's no way. I'm sorry. I don't want to waste any time on
No,
it.
but I did actually at the end of the spring training hit said this team's going to make the playoffs. I didn't predict they were going to win the AL Central. I just said they're going to be a playoff team.
There's
Do you know real quick? Do you know who did predict them to win the AL Central?
This
Stephanie
guy.
Haney.
Stephanie Haney did.
You did not predict them to win the AL Central.
Stephanie
I
Haney
did.
said yesterday when they got their 89th win, said
90 and 72.
I'm on this, and I said, well, I need to have you on the show. We need to get you on the Ultimate Cleveland Sports Show. I need to know in detail how you knew this was going to happen. Like, was it the hitting? Was it the pitching? Was it the stitching together a pitching staff? And she said, no, it's Stephen Vogt. Stephen.
And despite the fact that Stephen Vogt made 2 all-time stupid moves in yesterday's game,
He
they
did.
still clinched. I don't know why you would let Austin Hedges hit in that big spot. I don't know why you pitch hit for Manzardo when he's got 3 hits already, including a home run.
I didn't get it either. I did not understand that.
That was weird.
In the moment, guys do things. Maybe they trust their gut. Maybe they just have a sense. Maybe they have a feel. I'm going to say this, though. I can't kick Stephen Vogt about micro, because in the macro, again, also, I asked every single 24, 25 players we did interviews with, and I asked Stephen Vogt. I asked all of them one question that was the same. 2024 is a successful season if. And the players had a myriad of answers. Well, if the pitching staff can stay healthy, if the bullpen can return to form, if we can find a way to increase our power production. Only one person out of everyone I asked used the word World Series. And Stephen Vogt, without batting an eye, when asked what would make 2024 a successful season, said if we win the World Series. And he's the leader of the group. And it's interesting how, you know this, most teams, the last thing they ever want to do is grab that pressure at the beginning. You know, very few teams, you'll very rarely, unless you're the Kansas City Chiefs, will you hear a team at the beginning of the season say, our goal is to win the Super Bowl. That's it. But this Guardians team, who's coming off a season where they missed the playoffs and they're losing their leader, the manager, the new manager with 0 games experience coaching at the Major League level, said, if we win the World Series. And it's quite a story.
And they made the playoff. Even if you predicted the Guardians to make the playoffs, nobody could have predicted the way they made the playoffs. Because if you asked anybody that thought the Guardians were going to have a good season, you'd say, well, how are they going to have a good season? You would say, well, the starting pitching was great.
You're going to get nothing out of Shane Bieber. You're going to get nothing out of Tristan McKenzie. We would have pulled our hair out and said, that's a 70-win team.
Yeah, had we known those details, so you'll have Tristan for a month, you'll have Bieber for 2 starts.
Yeah.
Now make a prediction. You say
70 and
wins.
92.
You will, and that's logical.
Yeah.
Even if you look, outside of the bullpen, if you were in a coma for the last year or last 6 months, and you woke up and all I did was show you the statistics of all the starting pitchers and hitters for the Guardians, no bullpen, you'd say you wouldn't think they were any good because the starting pitching numbers are at best equal to what you thought, in most cases worse than what you thought.
Worse probably because Bieber and McKenzie were gone.
Right, but even Gavin Williams wasn't as good as you thought this year. Even Tanner Bybee, you thought he'd be even better. Logan Allen worse, across the board. The lineup, there's nobody, when you look by the end of the season, at the halfway point, Fry and Kwan were way above what you expected. But you look now, is there any player whose stats are way better than you thought they'd be?
Well,
no.
I didn't predict that they'd have 230 and 100 guys. I didn't see that coming.
I don't know. You knew if Naylor could stay healthy, he could hit 30. He's hitting the 20s a bunch of times.
I've always loved Naylor, but
what did Naylor hit last year?
I don't know that anybody thought it was going to be
24 last year, but he missed a bunch of games.
Yeah, it's not that none of the numbers are way out of line.
They were talking yesterday. I was listening to the game on the radio for a stretch, and Tom Hamilton brought up a great point. He said the Guardians have, I think it's 3 guys with over 30 stolen bases. Now, obviously, Lane Thomas got most of those with Washington. Mm-hmm. But then he was comparing the numbers to the Twins. And the Twins are still in the playoff race. They're trending down, but they're still in it. He said they've got 2 guys with 30 home runs and 100 ribs. The top rib producer for the Twins is in the 70s. The top home run guy is, I think, Carlos Santana. He has 22 or 24. Mm-hmm. And they don't have anybody with 30 stolen bases. So, when you start doing it and they're in the race. And the Guardians have 2 of these guys.
It goes to show you that's why they play games. You can look at it. You can say, oh, I thought he was going to do well. I thought this guy would have been well. No. You just got to watch the games and let it play out. Like the numbers and stats can lie sometimes. If you look up and down this order, you look at a bunch of people and you're like, wow, you're playing a bunch of young guys. Guys are up and down and guys getting a lot of bats. But, shout out to them. They managed to, when they could have folded like a tent, I think it was a couple of weeks ago against the Royals, they pulled it together. We talked about, hey, how will they deal with being a team that's not a front runner? They had the big lead. They was leading the division the whole entire year. And then all of a sudden, you look up and it's like, wow, not only are the Twins coming, from behind, you got the Royals as well. So I'll give them credit because, I was scared for a little bit, but Stephen Vogt, he pulled it together. And now, if you get into the playoffs as a baseball team, anything's possible.
Roll the dice.
Get hot in October.
Anything's possible.
How about the Tigers?
Yeah, they can't.
Wow.
Sold at the deadline.
They did.
Sold at the deadline.
Right. And there was talks that maybe Skubal could be had.
Yeah.
Which was ridiculous.
Yeah.
I never thought for a second that they were going to trade him, but you don't want to get into a short series with these guys. And I don't mean a 3-game, but I mean a 5-game. If you get to the DS, you get Skubal twice.
Yeah.
That's going to be a tough task for anybody.
It will be. The Guardians' magic number to clinch the division is 3. Magic number to clinch a bye is 4. And they're a half game back of the Yankees for the top seed overall. The Yankees have the tiebreaker, so they have to finish ahead of them.
I actually think that's really important to go for the 1 seed.
I agree with
I don't know where you guys are.
I think that's very
important.
Earlier in the season, I was thinking 2 wouldn't be so bad because the Orioles play the Yankees, and this way you don't have to play both of them. But I think the Orioles are struggling so much. I don't care about the Orioles. If you play the Yankees, you want home field.
Give me home field
that's
throughout.
what I want.
I think it's a really big deal.
But it's there's just that stigma of going into Yankee Stadium and being successful in the playoffs.
But I'll tell you this: people look at the Yankees. If you're not paying close attention to the Yankees, which probably most people are not, people talk about the Yankees like in football. People talk about the Ravens and the Steelers. You assume every year that the Ravens and Steelers have a good defense. They don't every year. They do often, but they don't. The Yankees' offense is not very good.
They've got two guys that scare the hell out of everybody.
Absolutely.
Outside of that,
their lineup is just. It's really the bottom of the lineup is no better than the Guardians.
Right.
Soto and Judge are fantastic. The Guardians have pitched well against Judge in the postseason in the past, but
and
the Guardians don't have a starting
disaster.
pitcher. No, only against the Guardians.
Us.
Yeah, only against the Guardians.
We have handled him.
I mean, he still hit 14 home runs in the playoffs, but he hasn't played. He did hit one against the Guardians, but overall he's not played well against the Guardians. But, I mean, the Guardians' formula is to get that lead early. They have to have it.
Make it a 6-inning game.
Not even. Make it a 3-inning game.
First sign of trouble.
The leash for starters is that big. You could see this team. How many times this year have the Guardians had to go to the bullpen in the third or fourth inning? And like yesterday, I think yesterday they retired 14 in a row or something absurd like that. These guys are just absolutely incredible. Eli Morgan's the one guy that's shaky to me.
No, I got no problem with Eli Morgan. I think he's fine,
he scares me.
He's not a guy they're going to use much in the playoffs.
No, I would bring up Tristan McKenzie the last week of the season and try him out.
Guardians have the sixth best team ERA in the last 30 years. Think about that for a minute. Sixth best in the last 30 years. They are a run better than anybody else in baseball this year, and that is their strength. And it's led by guys who, outside of Class A, have no track record, had no track record.
That's the only thing that scares you, is how will they handle the moment. Because they don't have a track record.
I mean, even the starting pitchers, how you got Bybee and Williams.
Yeah.
First time ever in the postseason,
That's
and
why
those
I
are
like
two.
the idea
Those
of
are two
bringing
horses.
McKenzie up. He's got playoff experience.
Yeah.
I mean, you got in playoffs, you got to throw strikes. You can't be putting people on, especially when you got Judge and Soto. You walk a couple people now, you get a 3-run.
Well, they wouldn't play the Yankees to the ALCS, so we'll see about that.
If they got a number one,
right?
They could see him in the second round. Is that correct? No.
They still couldn't see him.
The Yankees and Guardians going to be the top two seeds in whatever order, unless something.
We hope.
Unless the Guardians lose
Let's
out.
get a read in, and then we'll finish the Guardians.
Yeah, I'll toss this right back to you guys. If you want to bet on the Guardians to face the Yankees in the ALCS, you can actually find those odds on FanDuel. I'd wait a day or two before these seats finalize before jumping on that. I think the odds will get a little better. But FanDuel has every odd you can imagine, and you've heard us talk about FanDuel a lot. It's America's #1 sportsbook. And right now, they have a little something different for you guys now through the end of the weekend. Until Sunday, all FanDuel customers can bet $5 and get a 3-week free trial of NFL Sunday Ticket from YouTube and YouTube TV. Then with the YouTube TV base plan, you'll be able to watch every regular season Sunday afternoon at a market game. All you need is a Google account and a current form of payment, and you can cancel anytime you want. Just visit FanDuel.com/UCSS to download America's #1 sportsbook.
How pissed are you if you're Tyler Freeman? I know he wasn't very good, but he's on the team all year. They bring up Miles Straw. He gets to celebrate the clinch. He's been here 3 days.
Yeah.
And the only thing
he's getting picked off pinch running.
I saw a picture of him in the celebration, like when they posed for the team picture. I forget the caption. Something like, when you don't do any of the work and you still get the A.
Yeah. Right.
It's
like a group project.
You know who I feel for? And I mentioned it upstairs. I was watching with some of the guys in sports, and I said, in this moment, I can only imagine what Tristan McKenzie is going through mentally.
Yeah.
If someone would have told him when they broke camp that, you're going to spend the year in the minors and this team's going to clinch a playoff with 9 games to go, he wouldn't have believed how things have spiraled out of control for him. Because you came in one day and told us before the injury, the I's need dotted and the T's need crossed, but Tristan's about to get his extension.
It was done.
And then his next start. It was
the day he was supposed to sign.
His world fell apart.
The day he was supposed to sign it.
Oh, God.
Well, he still has plenty of time in his career to turn it around long term. But
he's young.
But for now, he's not there. And
would you call him up, Bull?
I would call him up, absolutely. Yeah. I'm surprised they haven't already. I know I guess we'll see what happens here. But I'd love to see him pitch a couple times out of the pen.
Have you looked at his numbers the last couple times out?
No, they've been good.
I haven't.
Yeah, they've been good.
When they piggybacked him out of the bullpen.
Yeah.
I think we talked about it last week.
We talked about his first appearance out of the pen went well.
Yeah. I haven't seen, because I want to get down there. Zach and I were trying to line times so where we could go down there together. Zach was working on something. I wanted to
How
talk
is
to
their season going?
Tristan.
Are they going to make the playoffs?
Columbus, I don't even know.
I think they are in the playoffs. The Lake County Captains just won their
clinched.
championship.
Yeah.
But in terms of the division now, obviously you want to take care of business as soon as possible playing in St. Louis this weekend.
Right.
The interesting thing down the stretch, so if the Guardians get a bye, which seems, probably 99% they're going to get a bye, then they won't play their first playoff game till either Friday or Saturday after the season. So
that can't be right. You've got the Twins and Tigers with the same record, but the Twins are
the game behind. They do have the same record. The game behind is wrong for the Twins.
Right.
Matt's not and strong suit.
They're both 8.5. The Tigers is wrong. The Tigers should be 8.5 also. But
math and spelling both.
I don't know. I just lost my train of thought. I don't know what it was.
I think we were talking about minor league. I'd said, is Columbus going to make the playoffs?
Yeah, no.
You said Lake County won the championship, and then you transition. I think we might maybe talking about Tristan McKenzie.
No. Here's what I was going to say. Getting the division. So Tanner Bybee is going to pitch Tuesday when they come back home against Cincinnati. Then he's not scheduled to start the rest of the season after that.
Do you like that?
No,
I don't either.
I got to pitch him on the final day of the regular season. That Sunday. Gavin Williams is supposed to start that day.
Provided you're going to get the bye.
Right, which they'll know, certainly.
Because you don't want 2 weeks rust on him.
No, right. So if you're going to get the bye, you've got to pitch him a few innings that Sunday.
Yeah.
And that's with 2 days off. It's almost a bad thing to have 2 days off in the final week because it's less innings for your starters. Because you want these guys, especially Bybee and Williams, who are going to pitch in the playoffs, and whoever else is going to start. I'm not sure, there's a lot to think about. I mean, Cantillo's pitched real well his last 3 starts. Yeah. I don't know if they're considering making him a starter in the playoffs. Cobb I don't know if he's going to get back this last week. So keeping Bybee, you can't have Bybee go, a week and a half without pitching.
Can we get some clarification? Is it Cantillo or Cantillo? They keep saying Cantillo on the podcast.
I say Cantillo, but okay. I think it is Cantillo.
Okay, yeah. I just wanted to make sure.
Feels like
I've been
it should
saying
be
Cantillo too, and then when I hear you, I'm like,
no, I'm saying it wrong. It is Cantillo.
Guys, he's looked great his last couple.
He looked really good.
You picture him third?
No,
not third.
Fourth, though, you have to consider.
He'd be an emergency bullpen guy if you need a long bridge to get to the heart of your bullpen.
So who third?
Hey, I don't know.
That's the question.
I mean,
that's a good question.
Boyd's been bad his last 2 starts.
If Alex Cobb
he's barely pitched,
I don't care.
How do you trust him?
I don't care.
I don't care either. I look at his stuff. His stuff when he's pitched has been lights out.
Yeah,
he's got to be healthy. He's got to get everything figured out.
Right.
But I also like the fact that he's got an April arm right now.
That scares me.
He really does.
Yeah.
He has an April arm, and if you can somehow transition a guy who's got playoff experience, who's
but his playoff experience was 12 years ago.
I know.
He's a veteran. He's a veteran.
And there is something to be said for that. I know it's 12 years ago, but the moment won't be too big for him. He's been there before.
And you're only asking him to get about 9 outs.
Yeah.
I need 12. I need 12 to 15.
I think right now Lively would pitch game 3.
Probably would.
Maybe Cobb pitches game 4.
Lively's earned it.
He has. We'll see. But anybody's getting a quick hook out, in the playoffs. Their bullpen's so good. You could pitch these guys. You could pitch Clase and Gaddis, all these guys. You could pitch them 2 innings.
If you had to.
Get to the bullpen as fast as you can.
As fast as you can. And if you get with a lead, you're going to win 99 times out of 100.
And Zach and I I don't know if you guys talked about this on the podcast at all. Zach and I were talking about this. Clase strikeout numbers are not what they could be.
Yeah.
But
or what they've been even.
But Zach said he has learned I can get out of this in 11 or 12 pitches.
It's very efficient.
And then I can pitch 3-4 days in a row.
That's exactly right.
Rather than try and strike. Right.
Kate
rather
Smith
than try
is the strikeout guy out of the bullpen.
Yeah.
But most strikeouts since Paul Shuey
100
for the Guardians out of the
But if Clase can keep the pitch count low, especially in the playoffs where the games just keep coming,
right,
you can get multiple innings out of him.
Right.
That's huge.
And thinking back to 16, I think there were a couple of situations where Miller might have doubled up and gone.
Miller threw
like multiple innings.
We were worried about is his arm going to fall off.
But the difference is there's a big difference. That year they had 2 reliable relief pitchers.
They did.
Miller and Allen, and that was it.
But I mean, we do too. Oh, you mean only 2?
They only had 2.
Yeah, I'm saying in Smith, and I know some people think Gaddis is. For me, my closer, obviously it's Clase, but I think Smith is our second most reliable reliever.
Yeah, I think he and Gaddis are close. I completely trust both of them.
I love
And
Smith's stuff.
I trust almost everybody that they're going to use in the pen
Smith's going to be a closer.
Yeah.
at some point.
Not too far from now.
Yeah, but
he'll be a closer.
so they have so much more depth there that
I'll pitch him 2 innings too.
I mean, you could easily get 12 to 15 outs out of those 3 guys.
Yeah, like
Easily.
Yeah, you come in
and
the
especially
fifth,
and especially on the games where there's a day off the next day, then you could push them even more.
Aaron looked great yesterday. Was it yesterday or 2 days ago? He struck out
All four he
guys.
faced,
He struck
yeah.
out all 4 yesterday.
Yesterday.
I mean, their whole pen, almost everybody in their pen is reliable, and so you could use some other guys. Now, managers tend to close in and not be a little less likely to use some of the middle relievers. But
Sure.
really, the whole bet. I mean, you don't have a 2.65 bullpen ERA or whatever it is now. If you have weaknesses in the pen, they don't really have any legitimate weaknesses in the pen.
That's why I said get to the bullpen as fast as you can. If
Yeah.
your starter goes 3 innings, get him through the order 1 time. Okay, thank you.
Yeah,
Job
you
well
know, a little more
done.
than 3.
No, I'm
One
serious.
is-
Now you're asking the bullpen
I-
to take care of 6
I'm not
every
talking.
day.
I'm not
That's gonna
talking.
get old.
I don't mean Tanner Bybee to do that. Like Bybee, you need to get 5. You need to get 5 innings out of Tanner Bybee in the playoffs. Gavin Williams, I don't know what you're going to get. I have no idea.
You don't know what
you're
you get with any of them besides Bybee.
Yeah,
I mean they're all
and even
question
Bybee's
marks.
never done it before. How do you know what you're going to get?
Right,
out
I
of
don't.
him?
That's true.
With
He's
that
never-
being said, they're going to have to be one of the young dudes that has a series. Whether that's Rocchio or Noel or one of these young guys. I don't know, is Martinez, are you going to be in the roster?
Manzardo right now is the hot
Well,
one.
Martinez right now is looking like a nice replacement at the leadoff spot if Quan doesn't find the magic.
So
again.
him or Manzardo, one of those guys is going to
Manzardo
have
should
a
be
great
playing.
series.
And I don't know why they pinch hit for him yesterday, but yeah, he's got to play. I mean, he's going to play
he'll
against
play.
all righties.
Yeah.
And he should.
And he should. Yeah. Martinez will make the team. I assume when Quan comes back, Straw will go back to the minors. I assume. I mean, you can't have Straw and Hedges on your bench. You can't have 2 guys who can't hit.
No.
And they got to keep Hedges. So
They're not doing anything with Hedges.
yeah. So that you can't have Straw. I don't know how you could have Straw on a playoff roster. You can't have 2 guys.
Well, why
who
did
can't
they
hit at
bring
all.
him up then?
They brought him up because Quan got hurt.
So
He's here for Quan. He's essentially until Quan comes back.
Yeah, I would assume.
And Quan can come back next Tuesday, I think. 'Cause
He's
the
gonna come
retro
back
was-
as soon as he's
the
ready.
10-day
Yeah.
was retro to last Friday.
as soon as the 10 days are up, he's coming back.
Yeah, and Straw
They wanted
is
him
the
to get a
likely guy
breather.
go
I
back.
don't think there's any legitimate, serious injury here. I mean,
I think it was a reset. What do you? Are you hearing that there was any injury? Because I know there was no episode.
Yeah, I think it's probably more of a clear your head and
Yep.
go
which
away.
is a great idea.
Yeah.
I think it's a great idea.
Yeah.
I can't remember a time I've seen a guy go from a legitimate 100% all-star. We were talking about him hitting 400, which was absurd, but we were.
I thought he hit 350.
I did too.
Yeah, 340,
Now he's what,
350.
280 something?
Yeah.
291 right.
I think he hit he's hitting 150-ish since July 1st.
It's not good.
And I don't think I've ever, we've seen rapid descents, but this one, everything that he did in his game was built on the idea that he was so good at the plate with discipline. And then he just started swinging at everything.
Yeah.
So I think a couple of weeks away from the game to clear his mind will be a good thing. I've said this before, I'll repeat it. If they're going to make a deep playoff run, they need Stephen Kwan to be Stephen Kwan.
I agree
and
with that.
Jose. I mean, Jose hasn't played very well lately.
Jose
He
will
just
be
missed
fine.
2 home
I
runs.
never worry about Jose. He hit a ball yesterday.
2. He hit
2
one to
of them.
left and one to right.
I know.
that were both almost gone, or were gone. But
I don't
were
worry
foul.
about Jose. I think he'll be all right.
Can I ask you guys one question real quick before we move on?
Sure.
First off, before that, my Uncle Lenny and his friend Steve were in town. They were doing a little Cleveland trip.
Yeah.
They went to the game yesterday.
It's a good one to go
Had
to.
the best time of their life.
Really?
They were so impressed with Progressive Field. They came away raving about it, so shout out to the Guardians. They were ready for a perfect game.
By the Yankee fans?
One's a Mets fan. I don't know what Steve is. I've
Yeah.
never met him before, but they had a great
That
time.
was a great game to go to.
It was
there
perfect
was a
game to
nice
go to.
crowd.
Yeah.
And
Great weather.
Afternoon, perfect weather. My
Great.
question is, though, the Guardians, for whatever reason, Naylor specifically, they just own the Twins. And it seems like every time they play, it comes down to the 7th, 8th inning, the Guardians are down. They find a way to take the lead and hit a walk-off. And yesterday was Jimenez, the day before, Naylor, Rocchio. Mentally, from the Twins standpoint, they're falling out of the playoff race. Detroit has now tied it up with them. How does one team, and I know it may change next year, but at least for this year, the Guardians have owned the Twins. It's been longer than this year, but
It
the
has
Guardians
been.
own the Twins. And can you break that how do you break that?
Yes,
mental?
and here's my fear, and this is why I'm crazy. I don't like even talking about it. They may see him this year. They may see him in the playoffs.
Yeah.
And then suddenly, all of the wins this year and last year mean nothing if they can't find a way to beat them in the playoffs. So
yeah, I remember
the team has a team's number.
But I remember in 2015, the Cubs went 7-0 against the Mets in the regular season, and then they played in the NLCS, and the Mets swept them.
There you go.
So and so you never know. And the pitch, in the playoffs, you set your pitching matchups, whatever. But I think the Twins are going to collapse and not make the playoffs. But who knows?
They're in the middle of it right here.
The Tigers are playing as well as anybody.
Don't the Twins have the tiebreak though on the Tigers?
They do. Yeah.
So they're
do they have any more head-to-head matchups?
No.
Nope, they're done. And
the Tigers end the season with the White Sox.
Yeah, they've got a really easy schedule. The rest, I think they play the Reds maybe in there.
I don't know, but I know they end with the White Sox. They have one tough series. I believe the Twins finish with the Orioles. So if it comes down to that last weekend, the Tigers are probably getting in because they'll sweep the White Sox. I think.
To your point, sellers at the deadline.
Think they want that one back? Jack Flaherty? Think they like Flaherty back?
But I mean,
you know what? They don't need him right now. Their whole pitching staff has been great.
They've been.
Are they? I looked a couple of weeks ago, or maybe a week ago. I think they've got the best record in baseball since
they do
August something.
Yeah.
Jeff Passan. I don't know. Did they win last night?
Did who win last night?
The Tigers.
They won last night.
Yeah, they did.
So then Passan was on SportsCenter before the game, and he said they were 11-3 in their last 14, so they're 12-3 in their last 15.
That's nuts. That's crazy.
And they were sellers at the deadline.
And I'm just going to prepare everybody now because everybody's going to get all hot and bothered when this happens. Tarek Skubal's winning the Cy Young.
As he should.
Oh, he should.
And
he should win the Cy Young.
Clase's going to finish second.
He will.
And he's had a great season. It's no knock on him. I don't think Vogt's going to win Manager of the Year either. I think he'll finish second.
I heard a combo on this on MLB Network a couple of days ago.
No, it's just a different league.
I think for what it's worth.
I
mean, for what it's worth, what he's done, I think the degree of difficulty is up a few pegs because he's replacing the guy that he's replacing, and they were coming off a year where they didn't make the playoffs.
Right, but the Royals. I think the Royals.
I know they lost 100 games last year.
Yeah.
I get it.
So I think Vogt's going to finish second.
But if the Guardians win the one in the American League,
that changes.
I don't think anybody deserves it except him. I think Vogt's the winner.
Pat Murphy of the Brewers is going to win in the National League, Mike. He's done a great job.
Who's going to win the American League if you don't think
I think it's going to be Matt Quattaro, the Royals.
It depends on what happens with the one. If the Guardians win the one, I don't see how Vogt doesn't win it.
Yeah, I
They're
just
the
think
best team in the American League.
The expectations were higher for the Guardians than the Royals, so that's what it goes by. It doesn't go to the best manager.
No,
but
should go to the guy that did the best job with what he had.
And
one last thing before we wrap up baseball.
Ohtani.
We got to talk about Ohtani.
Yeah.
Two minutes on Ohtani.
He went 6 for 6 yesterday. He had.
I liked your text that he hit more home runs in one day than
I think that was
Hedges
Jason
has all year.
Yeah.
He's got. Wait, what was it?
He had
3 home runs, 9 RBIs yesterday.
No, 10
RBIs.
Hedges for the year has 14 RBIs.
Come on, man.
And I can't remember how many home runs Hedges
Just 2,
has.
doesn't he?
2, yeah, you're right. Yeah. Ohtani out hit him in one day.
Ohtani, and by the way, in this game where he went 6 for 6 with 10 ribbies, 3 homers, 2 stolen bases, and 4 or 5 runs scored.
Come on, man.
The only reason he didn't hit for the cycle, he tried to. On one of his doubles, he got thrown out trying to get a triple on it. It was a perfect throw to get him out. Otherwise, he would have had the cycle too.
That would have been awesome.
Hey, are you hearing the talk that they're kicking the tires on him pitching in the playoffs?
Yes, but I don't buy it.
I don't discount it. She's Shohei Ohtani.
Yeah, I mean, he's larger than life. The guy's the
if
most
anybody can do
remarkable
it, it's probably him.
51 homers, 51 steals. It's just beyond remarkable.
Can he get to 60-60 by next?
No. I will say this though.
3 home runs a game.
We have now. I know it's short. He's got to do it longer.
Yeah.
We have never seen a talent like this in our lifetimes in Major League Baseball. Never.
Greatest play I've ever seen.
You've got to go back to Babe Ruth. None of us clearly.
But Babe Ruth
not even I saw Babe Ruth.
Babe Ruth only did both 1 year.
Yeah, that's exactly right.
You know?
And he's got to do it longer.
Yeah, sure.
But what he's doing is unprecedented.
Absurd.
No one on this planet that's alive has ever seen anything remotely close to this.
I don't know.
He's a top 10 hitter and a top 10 pitcher.
If he retired today, I might say he's the greatest player to ever.
I would certainly put him in the Hall of Fame already.
For
was gonna
skill
ask that.
set,
Yeah.
yes. We all need to see longevity.
And look how big he is, and he's stealing bases. I mean, he doesn't play the field. John Heyman 2 weeks ago was trying to make an argument for Francisco Lindor winning the MVP, and Lindor's
I've
having
heard
a
other
great
people
year.
do it too. It's absurd.
It's ridiculous.
It's absurd.
Yeah.
Well, the year that Roger Maris hit 61 home runs. He did not win the MVP.
Right, but there was an argument for it because Mantle overall had better numbers.
And in most
besides the
years,
home runs.
Not most years. In some years, Frankie's numbers would probably win the MVP.
Yeah, he's having a great season.
Not in an all-time colossal, once-in-a-lifetime season.
Exactly.
It can't happen.
I mean, either Bobby Witt's probably not going to win the MVP in the American League. He's having an MVP season, but Judge
he's done way more.
So, anyway.
Witts, I love Bobby Witt.
Ohtani's incredible. Witt's incredible. Hopefully we get an incredible performance from Deshaun Watson and the Browns this weekend. That's where we're heading for our next topic after a quick word from Prize Picks. Prize Picks is America's #1 daily fantasy sports app with over 5 million active members. It's the easiest and most exciting way to play daily fantasy sports. Unlike other apps on Prize Picks, it's just you against the numbers. All you do is pick more or less on 2 to 6 player stat projections and watch the winnings roll in. Prize Picks puts their members first, so all withdrawals are fast, safe, and secure. When your picks hit, you get your money in as quick as 15 minutes. Download the Prize Picks app today and use promo code LOCKEDONNFL and get $50 instantly when you play $5. That's code LOCKEDONNFL on Prize Picks to get $50 instantly when you play 5. You don't even have to win to receive the $50 bonus. It is guaranteed. Prize Picks, run your game when you want. A few weeks ago, guys, we decided we're going to follow Dan Pizzuto's quarterback rankings of the 33rd team. Deshaun Watson started at 29. Then he got bumped down to 31 after Dallas. And after week 2, these are the updated rankings from the 33rd team. Number 31 is Bo Nix. Number 30, Will Levis. 29, Malik Willis. 28, Andy Dalton. Deshaun moved up from 31 into 27 to show you a few guys in front of Deshaun. Deshaun there's 27, Gardner Minshew 26, Daniel Jones, Deshaun's opponent this week at 25, Justin Fields at 24, and rookie Jaden Daniels at 23. Caleb Williams is 22nd, just to give you guys that extra context. Fair, unfair, too small of a jump, too big of a jump? 4 spots for Deshaun Watson.
The fact that Caleb Williams is 5 ahead of Deshaun Watson is absolute garbage.
I can't even really comment on it. It's just.
You think it's okay?
No, I think it's so far outlandish that I can't give no energy to it.
Caleb Williams. Has anybody watched Caleb Williams this year?
Caleb Williams looked like he's playing JV football on a Sunday afternoon at Avon Lake. I don't know where that came from, bro.
I don't either. I don't get it.
What are you talking about? Like, that's
22?
And Daniel Jones? Like, we just talked to the dude. Now he could play well this game. We're not scoffing at Daniel Jones, but like
I am.
This dude ain't played well in like 3 years or something. Like, what do you mean? This is crazy.
Where forget where Caleb Williams is. Mm-hmm. Is 27 good for you guys?
I'd probably have him a little higher,
I would too.
But not too much. I mean, it's only been 2 games. Coming into the season, you have him pretty low because he's coming off not playing well for a couple of years. Mm-hmm. He was awful in the first game.
But look where they had Caleb Williams, who never played at the end.
Yeah, I don't get that. I don't know. He hasn't played well so far. I mean, I'm not watching him every play like I'm watching Deshaun Watson. The stats are bad.
I watched
Caleb
his prime time game every snap.
Yeah,
that guy's confused. he doesn't know what way
which
is
not a shocker for a rookie.
No, I mean he's a rookie and the learning curve is great, but wow.
Listen. If he was 23rd instead of 27th, I don't know that it matters.
It doesn't matter.
Deshaun Watson's got to play consistently well. It's something we have not seen from him. I think we all agreed he played, significantly better last game. We had different opinions on how much better. Now let's see if he can follow it up against a team that's, bad. So he should have a pretty good game.
He should play well the next 3 weeks. There's no excuse not to.
Yeah.
He should play.
Jay, do you have him higher than 27? Does it even matter to you?
It doesn't matter.
Yeah.
It's rankings, and he's in the range where he should be. I think that.
QBR wise, he's
29th in QBR.
So
the big question is, regardless of the spot, he took a big jump week 1 to week 2. Do you guys think he take another jump week 2 to week 3?
Did he take a big jump? What did he go week 1 to week 2?
31 to 20.
Compared to what he was. And not in the rankings.
He went up 4 spots, right?
No, I don't mean the rankings. I'm just saying in terms of what we saw on the actual field.
Yeah,
he was not good against Dallas.
I'm not in that camp that he took a big jump.
Well, compared to Dallas.
I mean, he didn't throw a touchdown. He didn't throw a pick. But outside that first drive, he had, 80 yards passing for 3.5 quarters.
Jay, I'm confused about this because G said yesterday that you and Dustin both said you'd take Deshaun over Tua and Jalen Hurts.
Yes.
I'm
shocked.
That, which I don't understand because even you're saying I don't think he played that much better.
What that is to me, that is more an indictment of two quarterbacks that I think were anointed way too early that I just don't think have the skill sets. I don't see them being able to play at the level Deshaun played at when he was in Houston. And I said, the principle of me saying that is I am holding tightly to the idea that eventually we're going to see that guy again. He's 29 years old. I watched Aaron Rodgers last night at 40 years old look amazing.
Right, but Aaron Rodgers...
I can't wash my mind from the idea that Deshaun Watson is washed. Tua, this is what I said on Tua, it's based on one thing. I don't think that guy's going to be in the league 12 months from now.
All right, well, that I understand.
So
but,
I just don't.
But G said you had to take injuries. When he asked me about it,
I said specifically, to me, with Tua, the injuries very much factor into my decision.
Deshaun Watson's missed more time than Tua has.
Tua's injury, though, is the kind that one more of those, and he is gone forever.
We said that last time.
Yeah, but listen, I'm stunned that he's taking this approach. I'm not leaving. You're talking about your long-term health here. Guys, we all see it with our own eyes.
Sure.
We see his concussions look different than other guys. And I just don't bet on him long-term in this league. I can't do it.
That's fair. But if it weren't for that, would you take Tua?
If it weren't for that, that's a different conversation. Yeah. But that's saying if your grandma has wheels, she's a bike.
Well, I mean, again, Deshaun's had a lot of injuries, too. I have given up hope on Deshaun ever being the guy he was in Houston.
I have not.
I have.
I'm in Bulls camp.
I think he can be still be a solid NFL quarterback, but I've given up hope on the Houston thing.
See, he's 29, though.
But it's 4 years since he played at that level.
I get that.
Yeah.
But we have seen in the NFL fortunes rise and fall. And I always bring up Baker, but Baker's the perfect guy to do this with. This guy's been reincarnated twice. He goes from being absolutely putrid, where you can't win a game with him, to all of a sudden he's one of the highest-rated quarterbacks in the NFL. His numbers right now look better than anybody's.
I know, but that's 2 games. It's not enough of a sample size. I know it's 2 games, but you also
have to look back. I looked at some numbers from him going back to the last 9 games to last year.
Yeah.
So his last 11 games, his numbers are insane. So I can't.
He was never.
And people thought Baker was washed. So I can't get to the point where I say that about Deshaun yet. With each crazy bad performance, I'm closer to getting there than I was the week before.
I think there's a big difference between saying he's washed and saying he's never going to be a superstar again. Because I don't think he's washed. I just don't think he's ever going to be a superstar again.
To me, if he doesn't return to his form, it's a failure and it's a wash.
Now look, Sean King.
I can't have a middling quarterback.
Yeah.
We gave up too much, and we're paying him too much.
I get it, but it is what it is now.
I know, but for the Browns' sake, he's going to get a long leash. They're not going to disconnect him for 2 or 3 bad games.
Right.
Now, Sean King said that he's more talented than 80% of the quarterbacks.
And he was talking about physical gifts, I think.
I mean that to me is meaningless. I'm sure, I'm sure Ryan Leaf was a lot more talented than other guys. I'm sure Jamarcus Russell was a lot more physically gifted than other quarterbacks. I mean, I'm not saying Deshaun Watson's those guys. He's obviously not.
But but if you watch, you wouldn't see no signs of that. There wouldn't be signs.
I'm not saying he's washed.
I'm saying if you say 80%, that's 20% left.
Well, that's one opinion. That's his opinion.
That's one opinion.
Yeah, I mean, obviously it's an educated opinion. The guy played quarterback, but I don't. And I'm not saying he's washed. I'm just saying I don't think he's going to be a superstar again. And that may be a disappointment, which it will be. But
Bull, if I had a pile of money and I said I've got to bet it on whether or not he will, I would say no. He won't.
Yeah.
However, because I'm a Browns fan, and because we're out of options, I'm not ready to say definitively. We've got a question in a minute. The question is 100%.
Yeah.
Are we 100% certain that Deshaun's going to be the best quarterback in the game Sunday? I think in the NFL, anybody that uses that number on a prediction hasn't been paying attention to the NFL.
Crazy. It's
you
crazy.
Can't say with all the certainty. So what I'm saying is, if gun to head, I don't think he's going to be that guy. But I'm not ready to give up that he can be.
That's fair. I mean, listen, I'm not going to say 100% he will never be that guy. I just think it's very unlikely. But here's what I do know. Tua and Jalen Hurts have been way better the last few years than Deshaun Watson.
But Jalen Hurts, I just don't like his passing downfield. I don't like his decision-making. He proved it again on
But again,
Monday
do we like
night.
Deshaun Watson's decision-making?
No, I don't. But I've seen it for a longer period of time when he was in Houston. Here's what I have a hard time with. And it was reiterated to me last night watching 40-year-old Aaron Rodgers. Guy's going to be 41 before the season ends.
Yeah.
I'm watching this guy going, he can still do it. He's still very, very good. Deshaun Watson is in his 20s. Now, late 20s, but he's in his 20s. Is it possible that at 29, yeah, some guys wash out like that, and they do it in a hurry. And I mentioned on Wednesday, I gave some examples of guys recently that have done that, and they all kind of favor his playing style. But I just can't yet.
He's gonna, if you watch the first game, you're like, wow, that was horrible. But if you go back and watch the second game against the Jaguars, I done watched every throw twice, and to be truthful, when you look at the PFF scores, he has a 77 grade when it comes to passing. When you watch it, he gets out of the pocket. When you watch it, the balls that he was missing against the Cowboys, he's hitting against the Jaguars. The goal of this thing is not to have Deshaun Watson be the greatest quarterback in the world in week 3. All he needs to do is continue to build on what he did well and minimize the things that he didn't do well. So now we can see downfield throws. I like the fact that you're more accurate on the underneath stuff. Now we want to see some down the field shots, and we want to see you get the ball and do some chunk plays. The accuracy was better. I thought the pocket awareness and escapability was on full display. So look, 186 ain't nothing to write home about, but the consistent improvement is what the Browns want to stack on. And I think this week he'll be better than he was last week. And I discourage people to fight the urge to say this, because we can't have it both ways. If Deshaun Watson plays well against the Giants, I don't want to hear the Giants suck. You only play who is on your schedule, because if he was terrible, we'd say he is terrible. And it was garbage and he's not good enough. Well, but I'm not tempering no results. He's going to be good or he's going to be bad.
And that goes both ways.
It goes both ways.
If he plays horrible,
he's going to get that.
Then the fact that the Giants suck very much will be brought up. These were his numbers against a team that is not good.
We week to week. If he comes out in balls, you got to just say he got better.
All right, let's move on to No Fence Riders, guys. We got Bernie Kosar in the wings. He'll be joining us in about 15 minutes, but we have a new sponsor alert on the Ultimate Cleveland Sports Show, and that is Robinhood. With Robinhood Gold, you don't need a silver spoon to eat up the financial favors of the 1%. Robinhood Gold allows others to get rates and perks usually reserved for the high society. Now, with resourceful individual, with Robinhood Gold, you can earn a very liberal rate of 5% APY on uninvested cash, receive unlimited 1% deposit bonuses, and be rewarded with a handsome 3% retirement boost on an IRA account. Robinhood Gold provides the privileges of a high net worth for any net worth, and these generous benefits are now available for only $5 a month. The new gold standard is here with Robinhood Gold. Sign up at Robinhood.com/gold. Terms apply for product-specific disclosures. Visit Robinhood.com/gold. Investing does involve risk. Rate may change. Gold membership is offered by Robinhood Gold, LLC.
Some of those numbers are pretty good.
They are pretty good. All right, guys, it's time to play No Fence Riders. We're going to fly through these in 15 minutes. First one, will Deshaun Watson and Daniel Jones combine to throw for 415 yards? This new era of football, fewer and fewer teams throwing for big yards, so will the two combine for 415? There's a dead even split.
I think it's too early to say it's a new era, Mike.
2 weeks.
There's a lot of people that are saying it is.
Well, but it's 2 weeks. I think it's two. That's not enough to say.
I started saying that last year.
Well, but this year is a dramatic change. Much more dramatic.
Yeah.
Well, I'm just going off the 2 weeks of data we have right now. It was a dead even split. JG, Tyvis, Dustin said yes, they will. Bull, myself, Earl, Jason all said no, they won't.
It's going to be close. But I think they're going to
get the biggest shocker is that Earl is in the under category.
Yeah, I thought he had Watson for 415 by himself.
Hey, I think he has Daniel Jones for about 63 yards.
Hey, listen, everybody is on the wait and see train. He had looked decent against the Jaguars. Everybody waiting for this Giants game so they could be like, okay, I can put my foot in the water real quick. Let me see. It's warm. I can get in now. They're just waiting for it. Because, look, you could go backwards or you go forward. So people hedging their bets right now. That's why the chat is quiet all over the internet. Twitter's quiet. They want to see 2 games in a row, Bull.
I got Deshaun Watson with 199 yards this week. I've got Daniel Jones with 117 yards this week. So,
Wow.
I got Daniel Jones very low. That's why I went on the under. It's less of a Watson thing, more of a I don't think the Giants offense can do anything.
I think there have been a number of double-digit passing yard performances this year. Where guys were held under 100 passing yards.
Well, what was the total last night?
Last night, Jacoby Brissett didn't get it.
Yeah.
Brissett had 98 last night.
Yeah.
He had like 130 yards of total offense, I think.
They were
the
bad.
Patriots did.
Did you see on the sideline where Aaron Rodgers pushed the coach, basically?
Yeah, so they talked about it in postgame. Did you hear it?
Oh, yeah. What did he say?
They explained it. It's a little gag that they have with one another that they play.
It was silly. I'm not sure I'm buying that.
Yeah, that's
I'm not either, but that was their explanation.
All right, next question. Amari Cooper struggled to start the season. We talked about that at length this week. So the question was, will Amari have at least 6 receptions versus the Giants? J, Bull, G, Tyvis, Erlen, Jason said, no way. Myself and Dustin think it's time for the Amari Cooper breakout game.
There's something funny about that picture with
Dustin and the Nuggets.
It's crazy. It's like the same size. I don't like giganticisms. Like I don't like
scary.
I don't like big turkey legs or huge pumpkins. That freaks me out.
Don't go to Epcot.
I ain't going. I'm not doing that, man.
Yeah, everybody walking around like cavemen with these
Turkey
huge
leg.
carcasses
I'm like,
in their
man,
hand.
that is a dinosaur leg, bro.
Mike, why do you think it's going to be over?
Because I think they're going to make it a point
I think they're
to
gonna force
incorporate
it,
him to
too.
the offense, and I do not believe the Giants have any defensive back capable of staying in front of Amari Cooper.
No, Njoku makes it more likely, but last year he only had, I think, maybe 5 games with 6 catches or more, maybe.
God, he's been targeted. He was
I
targeted
think
17
I
times
just
in
feel
the
like, and I'm probably even. I said Watson with 199 yards. I don't know if it's going to be that high because I don't think I think the Giants are going to have a real hard time scoring in this game, and I think the Browns are going to run the ball a ton. So I just don't see there being that many passes.
I mean, in the words of John Fana, Kevin Stefanski has his playbook back. Give me that. He went to him like, hey, bro, yeah, you had your shot, homie. He's like, how did I have a shot? You were calling the plays. I gave you a shot. It's okay. Back to the 18 tight ends that are linemen,
Dorsey's
actually.
never called plays this year.
Hey, you think Dorsey's playbook is Nick Harris? Is Zach Zenner in motion?
No, I see what you're saying. Yeah, no.
They came out the first drive, Jason. I'm like, Zach Zenner is reporting what? He's eligible? Go ahead.
When we get to the McNuggets 5 stats, I got a number on that exact thing for you. Yeah. Next one, the Browns' longest play of the season offensively is 36 yards. It was that 4th and inches sweep to Jerome Ford last week. So the question this time is, will they have an offensive play of 40 or more yards against the Giants? G, you said yes. So did myself, and so did Dustin. The rest of the guys out on the panel, along with Earl and Tyvis, said no.
Now, listen, they could scheme some up. You know, they got one hit wonder, Jerome Ford, back there. All they need is one shot. Listen, if they give him a little something to the outside or a screen, Jerome Ford can get that on one play and they get 2 yards the entire part of the game.
Well, he needs to get it on one play.
Like, he's a
we're talking
one play wonder.
He could. I picked a same game parlay, 4 legs today for the Browns game.
What?
I have Watson under passing yards. I have Jones under passing yards, but I have Jerome Ford over rushing and over receiving. For rushing, 43 and a half, I think.
Oh, that's not bad.
40 something and a half. And the receiving yards for him was 16 and a half. So I think he goes over on both.
I mean, when you sneak this little parlay in, bro?
Like that.
You get a little
I just
parlay
put a video
action.
out this morning.
I like it too. Yeah. Although the Sean King's recommendation about staying away from parlays on Wednesday is still really
parlays are
they're for suckers.
Yeah, but if you're only betting a small amount of money, then there's no harm.
But I tell you what, it makes them games so much fun.
Yeah,
to watch.
they do.
That's right.
Yeah,
I watch any game after that.
And it makes to the last snap.
Yeah,
that's right.
You're like, why are you watching? It's 27-3.
Garbage.
Because I've got something on.
I need one more rushing yard here.
And you be looking at
give it to him, and then when they don't give it to him, you're like, this coach is an idiot. Why would he not give it to him then?
Oh, there's somebody that had like over 6.5 rushing yards for a quarterback, and the quarterback took a knee on the last play, and he lost a yard.
It is the worst.
We didn't mention this earlier. Bad job out of us. Devin Ribley just tweeted it at me. The Columbus Clippers threw a no-hitter yesterday.
No kidding.
Fine no-hitter, yeah.
Who
were the pitchers?
I just closed the tweet.
I wonder if Tristan was one of
Bull
them.
and Jay.
He was not one of them.
Bull and Jay told me never to combine.
Combined no hitters were a joke.
Here's the thing, though: a combined no hitter late in September in AAA baseball. Did you guys see what the Twins did with one of their, I think it was a 6th-round draft pick,
They
a
cut
catcher?
him, yeah.
They released him because he was telling the hitter what was coming.
Yeah.
He wanted the season to be over. He didn't want the team to make the playoffs, and they cut him.
Yep.
If the pitcher has 60 pitches and he's in the World Series and he only has 60 pitches, would a manager let him finish the game and try to get a no-hitter?
No.
Not in the World Series. No.
60 pitches.
Well, why would you pull him?
Yeah.
I mean, probably in that
you would never
scenario
even think
you would.
about pulling him. He's not near the pitch count.
Yeah, like 60 in the 7th.
Yeah, probably.
No, that's a great.
But any one hit and you take him out.
Yes.
One hit for real?
The four
Now,
pitchers,
if it was 90 pitches in the 6th, he's not going to finish it.
Right.
But
the 4
60
pitchers, real quick, just to give him a shout out. Connor Gillespie pitched the first.
Oh, wow.
The first 5 innings. Randy LeButt pitched 6th and 7th. Anthony Ghost.
Come on,
He pitched
Mike.
the
He's
8th.
been on the major league team 18 times for a
Tanner
day.
Burns pitched the 9th.
Oh.
Combined no-hitter. They won
Hey,
2-0.
it's still a no-hitter, no matter how we try to,
I don't count combined no hitters. They're bogus.
I don't love them, but they're still technically.
The Cubs got a combined no hitter earlier this season. I didn't even care. I didn't watch the ninth
The
inning.
Braves got one
Yeah.
in the 90s. Kent Merker was part of it. I think they used 4 or 5
I haven't heard his name in years.
for a no-hitter.
Yeah.
All right, we got 2 fence riders left. Number 5. Will the Browns' offensive line commit fewer than 3 penalties this week? So if you thought it was 3, the answer was no. The people who think
This was
it'll
the
be
easiest
fewer.
one for me, by the way.
What do you say?
This was the easiest one for me.
Well, the people who said fewer were Bull, G, myself. We're confident in the O-line cleaning up the penalties.
Two-
Jay, Tyvis, Dustin, Earl, Jason all said 3 or more is happening. It's not coming that clean.
They've had 2 in the first 5 minutes of both games.
They're just like this is a thing. Like I don't know. I just feel like you're not going to have all these penalties every single week.
I know,
It's
but
just
can
not,
you go 60 minutes where you only have 2?
James Hudson's going to give you 2.
Off
He's
top.
going
I don't know that he's going to play.
He's going to have a
Do we
false
know he's
start and
playing?
a hold.
He's going to play.
I think he's going to play.
I do too.
I mean, Conklin's got a full practice in yesterday.
There's no way Jack Conklin can play a full game. There's no way.
No
Okay,
position.
so then, but Hudson might not play as much.
It doesn't matter. He's going to get you 2 penalties.
James Hudson,
He's going to get you a false start and he's going to get you a hold.
Vegas
Just put
is
it
going to
down.
start issuing a line on his penalties.
McNuggets, I saw James Hudson. I went back and watched it. On that reverse play to Jerry Jeudy, they got no yards. He looks like he has a gaping hole for 15 or so yards. And I'm like, how did you not get any yards? And then I looked up, oh, snaps. There go big game James. The dude lets a guy run around him and don't touch him, and he clubs him in the back with with a slapjack. Yeah. And then he looks at the ref like nothing happened. The ref was like, I don't know whether they're called clip, throw you out of the game,
Or assault.
targeting, assault. You did everything. And then he turns around and is like, what you mean? I'm like, bro, big game James is out of pocket, bro. He's going to get you 2 to 3. 2 to 3 he's giving you off top.
Gee, so you're not
Wait,
calling
but
it big game
you
James?
said they weren't. You were with us that they're not
I
going
know.
I think here's the thing. He's going to get you 2. They're going to have a penalty on Elijah Moore for not lining up and being still while the ball snap legal procedure. But I think the guards clean it up. I think Joe Bitonio, he had a rough one. He had a rough one last game, but I think he has enough
Joel
pride.
Wyatt and Poshik don't normally get called
No,
for
ever.
flags. So that will go away.
Yeah, like-
the tackles, it's coming back.
Yeah, that.
All right, last one, then we'll bring out Bernie Kosar. Will any Giants receiver have 60 yards against this Browns secondary? Myself and Earl said, yeah, they will. And I think I'm going to speak for Earl. I think we think it's going to be Malik Neighbors. Everyone else?
Wow, that's really
Said
bold
not a
prediction
chance.
there, Mike.
That's a lot of
do you
yards.
want to know I said yes to this one real quick?
Sure.
Because you're a Giants fan.
No, they're going to force feed. No, the Giants suck. They're going to force feed Malik
Well, you're
Neighbors.
still
He's the
a
only
fan.
offensive weapon. And of the entire NFL, through last night's game, including the Thursday night Week 3 game, do you know who has the 3rd best EPA when targeted in the entire NFL? It's Daniel Jones to Malik Neighbors. Only behind C.J. Stroud to Nico Collins and Baker Mayfield to Chris Godwin.
I just
Those
think
two are looking at each other. It's been pretty successful for the Giants, and they're going to be down. They're going to throw the ball a lot. I think Neighbors has like 72 yards, and that's about their only semblance of offense.
Is
you're reading
Denzel
too
Ward
much
playing?
into stats through 2 weeks, Mike.
There's a
2
stat
weeks.
for everything.
When I'm right, Bull.
If Denzel Ward is playing, there's no way he's getting that.
We
He's
don't
out
even know
of here.
if Denzel's playing.
And this is a game for the defensive lineman. If you can't eat today, I don't know what to tell you.
And what about Myles Garrett? He has not practiced at all this week. I think we all assume he's going to play, but
I'd never make Myles Garrett practice.
He'll play. Man flipped his car.
And
Missed 1 week and
bro,
came back.
he
and
has
played.
he has the mutant gene X. Like he is like Weapon X. Like
Right, but will he be as effective?
No, it's a concern. Like, I don't know exactly what the foot injury is, but I think it is a little bit of a concern. Like, he's, this could be a thing where for a couple weeks where he's not really practicing. They're just running him out there on Sundays. Their bye week's not for a while, so he's just got to play through it.
That adamantium regeneration don't work as well as it used to, but he's still the second coming of Wolverine. He'll play.
All right, let's bring out Bernie Kosar, our former NFL legend quarterback, to the show. And his segment today is brought to us by Prize Picks. Prize Pick is America's #1 daily fantasy sports app with over 5 million active members. Prize Picks is the easiest and most exciting way to play daily fantasy sports. Unlike other apps on Prize Picks, it's just you against the numbers. All you do is pick more or less on 2 to 6 player stat projections and watch the winnings roll in. Plus, Prize Picks puts their members first, so all withdrawals are fast, safe, and secure. When your picks hit, you get your money back in as quick as 15 minutes. Download the Prize Picks app today and use promo code LOCKEDONNFL and get $50 instantly when you play $5. That's code LOCKEDONNFL on Prize Picks to get $50 instantly when you play $5. You don't even have to win to receive that $50 bonus. It is guaranteed. Prize Picks, run your game when you want. And with that, let's welcome in Bernie Kosar to the show. What's up, Bernie?
Hey guys.
How are you, brother?
I'm doing very good. With our first W and Guards in the playoffs.
Life doesn't get any better, does it?
And a beautiful day like today.
I know.
Top down.
And not supposed to be windy on Sunday. So
Deshaun Watson looked better in Jacksonville, but still not 200 yards passing, didn't throw for a touchdown. What's your assessment after week 2 of our quarterback?
So seeing how we felt last week, 0-1, and how challenging the whole offense and whole game was, to use the Jimmy Johnson line, somehow, some way, any way, figure out a way to get a W, albeit Sunday's game wasn't aesthetically pleasing nor fun to watch from an offensive artistic standpoint.
It was ugly, but
it was, but typically, and I say this in Cleveland for myself as I was playing, I had to really check my ego at the door, and I had to really realize my stats aren't going to be as good as maybe the other guys around the league, because physically it's challenging to play in Cleveland and throw the ball. But I had to be comfortable with that on that any given Sunday, though, my stats are going to be better than the other team's quarterback, and we were going to end up with a W. So I had that mindset, so I was wanting to just win like that. And I know we weren't playing in Cleveland last week. We were playing in Jacksonville, which sounds like nice weather and Florida weather. It was not nice down there. It basically rained the whole game, and it rained with 15 to 20 mile an hour winds. So for the game 2 of the season, after such a dismal offensive performance in game 1, I absolutely love what we did from a schematic standpoint of just like we started the game. Foreman didn't carry the ball at all in the Cowboys game, yet we start out play 1 of the Jacksonville game with extra lineman in the game, and Nick Harris as the H-back with a power jumbo formation running Foreman right up the middle at a really good Jacksonville defensive line that's more accustomed, though, to pass rushing defensive ends. So what we probably wanted to do against Dallas, we rectified, added it into more of the game plan, physical game planning in game 2. And I think that was the reason Deshaun played better. Yeah, not perfect yet, but and the offensive line played better, and they're easing their way into it. And I think that's the building blocks that we needed to see.
One guy who's off to a terrible start, I just yelled at Mike for making too much of 2 weeks, so I don't want to make too much of it. But Amari Cooper is off to a very rough start. I think he's got 6 catches on 17 targets. What's been completely out of character for him is the drops. What do you make of an anomaly, bad start, he'll be fine? Or are you any concerned at all?
So I absolutely have been paying attention to that, and it's almost like I did the production meeting and we talked in advance as to what we're going to talk about. So that's the main thing I wanted to talk about today, and I know people want to talk about me and Deshaun and the quarterback stuff, which we started out with. But I really like Amari Cooper. I'm a fan of Amari Cooper before this season. And then when the stuff happened with the possible trade. I didn't think I could become more of a fan of his, but the way he handled that possible Brandon Ayuk trade in Frisco, I became even more impressed with him. And then that press conference he did yesterday, I love him even more, and I didn't think that was possible. And for him as a player to sit up there and say, maybe I am struggling a little bit because I miss some OTAs and that stuff.
That's hard to do.
That's impossible to do. As guys, young guys and young players, and I know me, I like to be incredibly open and stuff, but at that age and in that situation, I wasn't that open. Whether it was not being honest to you guys, but more than it wasn't being honest to myself. Okay? And you don't even think like that, let alone admit like that. So for him to have that come to Jesus talk yesterday from a heartfelt thing, I think that's awesome, even more so of him. I think that resonates for players too. Gives everybody the way to say, if somebody we look up to, Amari Cooper, is pointing the finger at himself, maybe I should have worked harder, maybe I should second guess what I'm doing from a preparation standpoint, maybe I should take practice a little more serious now like I did earlier in my career. I think that's going to pay massive dividends to the team. I believe if I'm the Q, I'm looking him up this week. He is for sure getting north of 3.5 catches and getting more than 51.5 yards if I'm his Q, because I love that and that type of accountability. And
you don't see that every day.
You don't see that. So, yeah, I would have sat here and said, yeah, I'm a little concerned. But now, man, hitting that right in the face like that. Yeah. And that's just, people say, oh, it's superficial, or, oh, we should say that. That's super hard to say, even when, you know, it's true in that. And for him to be the instigator of saying that, my hat's off to him. If I had a cool looking hat like you,
I'll let you borrow that.
Oh my gosh, you're styling today.
I'm trying to, man.
What's the name of this outfit?
Listen right here. This is. Let me think about it, man.
Okay, think about it.
All right.
Think about it.
Let me give you this, Bernie. 300 is the new 200 now. What's up with the passing yards, right? People talk about outlaw cover 2, like cover 2 is something new, like 2 deep safety ain't new. What do you give to people out there as your reasoning for why people ain't throwing the ball around the park? Is it the defense? Is it the offense? Is it just the check down nature of what's going on right now? Why do you think as a quarterback?
So I do believe a half dozen years plus ago, we were really fixated in the drop back, spread receiver, run and shoot type concepts, and really kind of got away from the physical running, play action type games. And the type of offenses that caught people off guard 5, 6, 7, 10 years ago, they caught us off guard. We caught them off guard, the defenses. But now the defenses have caught up, and they could defend that spread type stuff. And now having those lighter, faster guys is more conducive to pass rushing and that. So again, checking your ego at the door, realizing, you said it beautifully, that the 200 is the old 300, and you have to be satisfied with that as long as you're getting W's is something that I also think they're also letting guys be a little more physical in terms of the pass rush.
What do you think, kind of along those lines, we just did a story at The Athletic on all of this stuff. And one of the things that I was told was offensive line play isn't as good today, and defensive linemen are freaks of nature that we've never seen before in terms of size, strength, and speed. Do you notice that? Is the line play different today? Do you think the offensive line play is worse today than it was 5 or 10 years ago? And do you think defensive linemen are more agile and stronger than we've ever seen?
Jason,
does that have anything to do with
spot on? So coupled with the first stuff I was saying, and then because I felt like I was being too windy, I just said in passing at the end that the defensive line and the pass rush is getting better. That's spot on it. I mean, in my day, a 300-pound defensive lineman was running 5'3", 5'4", And he got around 5'1", and we thought he was the second coming of God, So let alone these guys running 4.7s, 4.8s, and bench pressing what they're doing. So that's absolutely happening. Coupled with all of this practice, and I understand, and you can't hit and do practice like we used to in the old days of blitz drill and how to pick up protections and do inside drill and running. So offensive linemen are a little bit of a disadvantage on their technique. Plus, the passing game is is 75% of most passes these days are almost less than a second. They're then bubble screens, quick, real quick. Well, linemen, they don't know if, most of the time, they don't know if that was a quick bubble screen from me to you, okay, where Bull's slipping out in front of me, or it's a circle square in where I got to get the Mike backer to jump on the circle to get the 18-yard square in behind it that takes, 2.7 to 3.2 seconds. And you're not asking them to do that as much. And then when you do that, wait, I'm used to only blocking for half a count, 3/4 of a count. Everything's not a screen. In my day, there was 3 to 5 screenplays a game. And now there's 3 to 5 screenplays a quarter.
Well, right along those lines, so it's only 2 weeks. Only 2 weeks. The 25% of the passes are at or behind the line of scrimmage this year across the NFL. Right. And guys that you would not expect to be included in that are included in that, like Patrick Mahomes and Josh Allen. We talked to them from the story that I just wrote yesterday. If I'm an owner, and again, it's only 2 weeks, but clearly this is the trend of short and quick all around the league, short and quick.
That's dangerous, too, because you lose the ability, because you start thinking you're doing good by blocking for a second.
Yeah.
And you could do that in non-violent situations and typically in non-stressful situations. But in the playoffs and in stressful big games, the good teams don't let the circus plays work.
Well, and maybe I'm way too early on this, but if I'm an owner, I'm looking around going, why am I paying my quarterback $50 million to take the snap and do this? And like, this is what Mahomes and Josh Allen are doing. Taking the snap and going here, snap and going there. Where is this going? Like, are we going to get back to, because we talked to Josh for the story, and Josh said, both Mahomes and Josh Allen said there are not as many opportunities down the field as there were 5 years ago. I think the playoff game in 2021 broke the NFL. That as soon as Mahomes and Allen put on that display in that playoff game, that's when we went back to the the split safety look, and that's when everything scoring came down, everything started to change.
Yeah, keeping everything in front of you.
So where is this go? Because again, like I don't know. Everyone talks about quarterback salaries getting out of control. Well, if all you're doing is asking them to do this, that's not worth 45 or 50 million until you get to the last 2 minutes of the game and you got to go. So I'm just wondering where you.
So I get exactly where you're at, and I really like it because I haven't thought about it from that perspective of it. But I don't get offended by the game manager statement. So I would call me a good game manager. I had to do and manage the game, and I look for my opportunities. And when you get out of your too deep, I'm going to jump on you with the blitz pickups. And I did love too deep because the fades in the middle of the field were open. For stuff like that. So there's a lot of us that could throw 70% of those plays and 25% of them behind the line of scrimmage, even today as an old man. But where Josh Allen and Patrick Mahomes are the separators, as most good games, clutch games come down to 3 to 7 plays, clutch, tough plays, offense, defense, special teams. And sometimes it's you'd like to make them, but sometimes it's also you don't make the screw-up mistake, too. And in those games where 90% of your plays could be done by anybody, or most of us, there's only a few Josh Allens and Patrick Mahomes in those 6 to 10 plays where the trick play, the gimmick doesn't work, and they're just Houdinis at getting out of it. Josh Allen running people over for a first down. Patrick Mahomes behind the bass, underhand, sidearm type stuff. Those guys, make it worth it if you want to win a championship.
Monday night, Kirk Cousins did just that.
Yep.
Kirk Cousins was having an okay game. That was it. And then he needs a 2-minute drive and he throws 3 balls down the field that the seasoned veteran quarterback, who's in that upper echelon of pay, are expected to make. And he made it.
Yeah.
And all of a sudden, he's walking off the field a winner, and you're like, what just happened?
Yeah, Jay, I get goosebumps thinking about that. You're right, and I don't mean this as a sound bite, but he played massively pedestrian to bad.
Yes.
Okay, for 3.5 quarters, and then he's the man at the end. God bless you, and that's all that really matters. Again, somehow, some way, you just have to get a W. And I know we're bummed out a little bit about the Browns offense this week and stuff. We're talking about it. But at the end of the day, we're 1-1. I know the crap that's going on in Dallas. Joe Burrow's 0-2. The Ravens are 0-2 with games they each could have won and stuff. So to have what's going on now is, I love this Kevin Stefanski, let's win the week one game at a time, because even myself, we could easily creep into, this is a nice part of the schedule where we could, despite how we felt after the Cowboys game, I mean, we could be the sweetest team in what we thought was the toughest division in the NFL.
We've got to stack wins the next couple of weeks.
Yeah. Both Denzel and Myles Garrett are banged up. How concerned are you?
You're bringing me down off my high.
I'm sorry.
Brother, yes.
Because the offense is struggling, they need the defense to play great.
Yes.
Right? And it's hard to do that with Denzel Ward and Myles banged up.
Well, and also, too, we're a complimentary football team now. That was beautifully done in Jacksonville. None of it was overly artistic, but yet in crunch time, each 3 phases of the game did the dominant thing to get the W. I really like how Denzel's been playing, and of course on Myles and stuff. So, Denzel and the concussions and the ankle is one thing. This is a shoulder that he may have gotten early in the game. They had him come on that pitch count. I don't even want to say on film, if I was Brian Dable, what I was offensively, what I would be doing to test Denzel early in terms of running the ball at him and forcing him to make a couple tackles.
See what he has.
Yeah, you don't want him to. And I would caution Denzel, let's try to stay out of, those type of contact points, because we need him, and it is only week 2. So it is something where you don't want something lingering all through the season.
Yeah.
Bernie, thanks for stopping by. It's always good to see you.
Good to see
you.
you.
How are you feeling before we let you go?
I'm feeling phenomenal.
Everything good?
Yes. Yeah, I had my doctor appointment on Monday, and I actually came from a little blood work right now to where they think I am fudging my blood work. I look so healthy.
How's the baby? How's your grandkid?
Oh, and Grandpa Bernie is, yes.
Welcome to the club. It's fun, isn't it?
Yeah, it is. Yes.
That's good. Can you imagine, who's your grandpa? Bernie Kosar. That doesn't suck.
Yeah.
Bernie, thanks, bro.
Thanks, guys. You got it. Go Browns, 2-1.
Yes, sir.
Go. Let's get it. Mike.
All right, Bernie, thank you. Earl's going to be down in 1 sec to unplug you and get you out of here. Bernie, you're still plugged in. So let me do a read as you figure out how to get out of here. And you may have to run out and help him because Earl's not here. Yeah. This is what happens when we're down in person. Robinhood Gold, guys, the new sponsor of the Ultimate Cleveland Sports Show. And with Robinhood Gold, you don't need a silver spoon to eat up the financial favors of the 1%. Robinhood Gold helps others get the rates and perks usually reserved for the high society. Now, the resourceful individual with Robinhood Gold can earn the very liberal rate of 5% APY on uninvested cash, receive unlimited 1% deposit bonuses, and be rewarded with a handsome 3% retirement boost on an IRA account. Robinhood Gold provides the privileges of a high net worth for any net worth. These generous benefits are now available for only $5 a month. The new gold standard is here with Robinhood Gold. Sign up at Robinhood.com/gold. Terms apply for product-specific disclosures. You can visit Robinhood.com/gold. Investing does involve risk. Rate may change. Gold membership is offered by Robinhood Gold, LLC. And also, the Ultimate Cleveland Sports Show is brought to us by FanDuel. Starting now through the end of the weekend, FanDuel is offering customers a 3-week free trial of NFL Sunday Ticket from YouTube and YouTube TV if they bet just $5. Then with the YouTube TV base plan, you can cancel anytime you want as long as you have a current form of payment on record. And while you have the YouTube TV Sunday NFL Ticket plan, you can watch every regular season Sunday afternoon out-of-market game. Just visit FanDuel.com/UCSS to download America's #1 sportsbook.
So So McNuggets, I want to say something. Jason said something, and it sparked I just was thinking about it. Shoot. And he talked about the prices of the quarterbacks, given the fact that they are throwing dink and dunk and not really, worth $50 million a year. Then I started to think, in a market, and when you talk about economics, right? You got inelastic goods that they're very scarce. It doesn't matter how much they cost, you're going to pay for it, like electricity, water, prescription drugs, things you just have to have. Gas. It doesn't matter. You're going to pay. The top 32 quarterbacks, after they've been, moved through the system, they have tape and film in college, so you know that they're smart. They know, they're durable. They've been vetted. They know that you're not going to screw anything up, and they're the face of the franchise. Those 32 people are so valuable that they're almost inelastic goods. It doesn't matter what the cap is, and it doesn't matter how much you pay them, because they are essential to everyday business. You can't play with a quarterback who's not in the 32. Because if you're not, the difference between 32 and 33 is a lot.
Well, not really. 32 and 33?
There's probably a big difference between 20 and... But I hear what you're saying.
There's a big difference between 1 and 10.
But if the difference gets smaller between, say, 8 and 35, then, which is kind of where I think you were going. Like, if there's less of a difference between the top 40 quarterbacks, then eventually the money will come down. It's way too early for that to happen.
I don't ever see a time where NFL quarterback salaries go down.
I mean, you're going to make your money in the last 3 minutes of the game. That's where you separate yourself.
Right.
But also, the point I was actually making, and maybe I probably didn't say it well, I know how owners think. Mm-hmm. And the owner, if I'm paying you $50 million, I want to drive that. If I'm paying for the sports car, I want to drive the sports car. I don't want to take the bus. This is taking the bus.
Yes.
I want to drive my sports car.
There will be owners that say, I'm going to stay out of that $50 million club because you guys are wasting your money. I'm going to get a serviceable quarterback.
Yeah.
Now, all of that being said, do that at your own peril.
Yeah,
the one thing we know about the NFL is cycles come and go.
And
now, the trend is assets on the defensive side of the ball, the too high splits. We get all that. But to every defense that has ever been created, there have been holes that are developed. And Bernie is exactly right. The middle of the field is open. You've got you can hit your corner routes.
What they're paying for is 3 plays. They're paying for 3 plays. The plays that can't nobody else make.
The ability to make those plays.
The ability to make those 3 plays.
And I don't want to derail this because, Mike, I know we got to go. But the one thing that Josh said in our piece that was really interesting to me was, I'm not going to take risks until we get into the red zone. Because once you get in the red zone, you have to get a little bit more exotic because it's harder to score. But teams are going to give you 20 to 20. You can do this all the way down to the 20. Mm-hmm. So I guess the answer is you're paying these guys the $50 million for the red zone.
Yeah.
And
getting the 6 instead of that. I love where this stuff is going because like safeties got gutted last year in free agency. They got and part of it is because I don't need a top ball covering ball skill safety because I have space in front of me that's going to protect in the scheme that we play anymore. You don't need Earl Thomas back there like you did back at one time.
It also might put another premium on running backs, who once upon a time were just looked at as a commodity that just come and go. But
if this trend continues, the league will do something to help offense next year.
Well, did you hear Al Michaels last night on Thursday Night Football? Al said, put the ball at the 35-yard line on touchback.
I've been saying that for a year.
It's coming.
Just
don't. Offense is good
because
for
the one thing that they know is bad for business
is
no offense.
Yeah. Go ahead, Mike.
All right, let's run through these 5 stats you need to know for Sunday real quick. We'll do each one in 1 minute. First one, do you guys know how bad the Giants' loss to Washington was last week? It's historically bad. Did you guys know in the loss to Washington last week, it's the first time in NFL history an NFL team has scored 3 touchdowns, did not allow a touchdown, and still lost in regulation. First time it ever happened in NFL history.
Wow.
The Commanders, had 7 possessions. They kicked 7 field goals. The Giants still lost the game. They scored 3 touchdowns. They did not allow a touchdown, and they still lost. First time that has ever happened.
Got to be the first time also that a team didn't score a touchdown and didn't punt. Washington never punted in that game. Every possession.
That's crazy.
1,000 ways to win a game, man.
Yeah.
Mike, you know the Giants better than anybody. Is Brian Daboll getting fired Monday morning?
Yes.
I think it's not Monday morning. He's a good coach, but Daniel Jones.
This year he's getting fired.
Yeah, this year.
I don't know about Monday. Gosh, if they fire.
All right, next one.
That'd be a quick
It's
look.
about the time.
Next
4
one.
games.
3 though.
Myles Garrett is the only player in NFL this season with a sack and a forced fumble. Nope, and go up one. You skipped one. Maybe I numbered it wrong. Go to 3. I may have numbered it wrong. All right, drop it. We don't have a graph for this one. I'll tell you the stat. That's me. Myles Garrett's the only player in the NFL this season with a sack and a forced fumble in each game this season. The last player to do it in 3 straight games to start a season was Khalil Mack in 2018. It's been done 1 time in the last 24 years.
Wow.
Just Khalil Mack in 2018.
That's pretty
He has
good.
a chance to do this, make history. According to Next Gen Stats, Myles has 2 of the 4 fastest sacks in the NFL this season. The number 1 fastest sack was a sack on Dak in Week 1. The number 4 was a sack on Trevor Lawrence last week. Daniel Jones, in 62 career games, has 46 career fumbles. The Giants have allowed the 10th most sacks in football. The Browns have the 3rd most sacks this year, so could be a good time for a 3rd strip sack for one Myles Garrett.
Okay.
Yeah, now we haven't recovered any of those. We don't
That's-
have a turnover this year,
No, that's a little
which
weird.
is a bit of a. It is. I
but
mean,
turnovers are so fluky.
they're fluky. You can't.
Year to year.
You can't count on them week to week.
I mean,
because-
the Browns got a safety. That should count as a turnover.
It kind of was. Yeah,
But it doesn't.
It should. It really is.
Actually, that's
Yeah,
the highest
but it
for him because you get the
You get points
and the ball.
Yeah.
but it doesn't count,
For
unfortunately.
the record, I did send the graphic right. That was a VMix issue. All right, number 3, G, you asked about the extra offensive lineman, right? Mm-hmm. How about this? Cleveland is the only team in the NFL this year to run multiple snaps in 0-0 personnel. That's 5 wide receivers.
Wow.
They also lead the NFL in plays with 7 or more offensive linemen on the field. They ran 16 plays against Jacksonville with 6 or more offensive linemen. 24.6% of their snaps had 6 or more offensive linemen. In Week 1, the Browns were dead last with pre-snap motion, 24.3%. Dead last in motion at the snap with 4.3%. In Week 2 against Jacksonville, that number jumped from 24.3% to 49.2%, for good enough for 20th in the NFL. And their motion at the snap jumped from 4.3% to 23.1%, up from dead last to 13th.
And that means that, to the point that was made early on this week on the show, whatever playbook was formulated and used in Week 1 by Ken Dorsey has officially been burned. And I think Kevin Stefanski went into the building and said, all right, we gave that a kick to the Dyers. We're doing it my way.
I actually disagree with that. I think it proves the opposite.
No, that's what Stefanski does.
The offensive
The motion was the Dorsey stuff.
The motion.
Yes, that was. But the sets. First of all, you're Jekyll and Hyde. That's an identity problem. If you're leading the league in 5 wides and you're leading the league in 6 offensive linemen, like, who are you? What are you trying to do here?
Well, it's only 2 weeks.
I get
And
that.
I think they're trying to figure that out.
I do feel like Stefanski went back in and said, let's
But
go
Stefanski,
with what we know.
Stefanski in the past has been near the bottom of pre-snap motion, and they were 50% this week. That was a big difference.
Nobody uses multiple linemen like Stefanski. That is his calling.
Well,
loves
who was? I think it might have been Bernie, who we had. I said a couple weeks ago. I just have a feeling they're going to be back to 6 and 7 linemen. I didn't think it was going to be week 2.
Yeah, it happened very quickly.
I thought it might be like week 6 or 7.
But
Well, the NFL stands for not for long.
love-
You keep playing like you did against Dallas.
I love the fact that he didn't wait for the building to burn down to make a decision.
And who knows? This week it could
go back
It's
to
the
that.
one thing we said about Kevin is how do you win this week? What do you have to do to win this week? And that's what he's like. It may look like this week to week. And I also do think that they are still trying to figure out what is Deshaun's capabilities now. And that's going to impact some of the stuff that we're talking about.
I like it because if you game planning for the Browns, you don't know what the heck they're running at all.
No, they're
No
all over.
idea.
They're
No clue.
all over the place.
No clue.
This next one we've talked about, we'll fly through it real quick, but just this is a big picture trend in terms of the passing. We talked about the passing touchdowns being down significantly. 110 passing touchdowns through 2 weeks in 2020 and 2021. That's down to 69 this year, a 37% drop. The number of 300-yard passing games through 2 weeks in 2021, there was 21 300-yard passing games, 23 last season, only 13 this year. Through 2 weeks, just 5, down 76% from 2021. Daniel Jones, 364 yards through 2 games this season. Deshaun Watson, 355 yards through 2 games. So potentially a new reality, which gets us to the last one we haven't talked about. Bull, you talked about the Jerome Ford over on rushing yards. It's a great idea. New York's defense this season is allowing 5.3 yards per carry to running backs this year. That's the most in the NFL. They've allowed the 5th most rushing yards through 2 games. Granted, it's 2 weeks, Bull, but before you say it's only 2 weeks, well, we only have 2 weeks of data to pull from. So Shut up. Thank you. Jerome Ford's averaging 5.7
shut that down.
yards a carry per this season. And on his 4th down run on Sunday, that 4th and inches sweep, he hit 21.92 miles per hour on that run. That's the fastest recorded speed by any ball carrier in Week 2 and the fastest among running backs this season. Jerome Ford overs, take it.
Going back to the 4th one, did you guys see the stat?
Love you, Bull.
One quarterback has thrown for 250 yards in each of the first 2 games. You guys talk about this? You know who it is?
Baker?
One quarterback in the NFL has
Is it
thrown for
Carr?
250
No.
yards in the first 2
Sam
games.
Darnold?
No.
Purdy?
No.
I say
Carr?
Carr.
Baker?
No. Gardner Minshew.
Oh,
He's the
he's on
only
my
quarterback.
fantasy team.
Only quarterback throw for
Well, that's
at
right.
least 250.
Everything's upside down right
It's
now.
2 weeks.
I mean, yeah, it is only.
But I'm telling you, because we talked to a number of people this week, the league doesn't feel like this is a 2-week anomaly. Now, Kevin did say it's a small sample size. We'll see. That's what Stefanski said when I asked him about it.
Well,
this
and
week.
it is.
Right.
I mean, it's just
But-
2 weeks.
but a lot of
this
the
goes
people-
back to last year.
And a lot of the people that we talked to for the story felt like this is not just a 2-week anomaly. This is, for now, this is the way it is. We'll see. We'll see if they're right.
I got super chats. Miles Garrett back in the practice field today. He should play.
Good.
Fly through the Slim Shaney says, I like the WAR stat in baseball, but explain to me how Johnny Damon has a better career WAR than Omar Vizquel. It's tough to do in 10 seconds, but it's to be an overtime
Yeah,
topic
no,
one
we
day,
can't
maybe.
do it.
Damon was a much better offensive player.
Jeffrey says,
There you go.
Jay and Jason, could you get 10 yards in the NFL on 10 carries for $10 million?
Yes,
No, it was 5 yards.
5 yards.
absolutely.
5 yards on 10 carries.
Yeah,
I might be dead after 8, so I probably have to do it in 8.
I'm getting it.
Okay.
I'm getting it.
Acid Brooks wants to
$10 million,
mention the Browns
I'm
lead the
getting
NFL in drops. Bill Roldewalt says ESPN's QBR stats trash. Stroud's 11, Burrow 15, Mahomes 19, while Sam Darnold's number 4. Reggie Glover says
Darnold's
it's against
played well
the
so
rules
far.
Played
to
really
use
well.
successful plays from previous seasons. Couldn't Stefanski dust off old Marty's playbook from 1986 and use the good ones? And Daryl, our guy Daryl, who hopefully is feeling better, says
Yeah, get well,
41-10
Daryl.
Browns. Love you guys. We'll see you on Channel 3. That's from Daryl said, and he's right, because we'll see you on Channel 3 in 3 minutes.
See ya.
Peace.
Yeah.